So hello everyone, welcome to the Collateral Onboarding call number 7, held on Wednesday, September 9th at 5 p.m. UTC. My name is Juan. I'm here with some 22 people involved in one way or another with MakerDAO. And the idea of this call is to have people present their projects and have a discussion around it. So we'll have 10 minutes for presentation and then 20 minutes for Q&A and discussion. Today we'll have Rafael Kosman from TrustToken in the first half presenting, and then Sergey from 1inch and Jess will be presenting Mooniswap. Some news before we start. I wanted to quickly say that since we're having a lot of demand from the community and interesting projects presenting, we're going to split this into 2 streams of calls. And well, this might change in the future, but for the moment, we're going to do like the standard collateral types as we were doing and real world assets. So to launch real world assets, we will have Matthew Rabinovich from 6S Capital coming back a second time and Lucas from Centrifuge. This will happen this coming Wednesday, September 16th at 5 p.m. UTC. For those that are in the forum, this project have made considerable effort to engage with the governance process and moving the project forward. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves. And well, to be able to have them in the call to actually answer all the questions, since there was clearly not enough time last time. Regarding the standard collateral assets, we have on September the 23rd at 5 p.m. UTC, we'll have Stani from Aave discussing their token, and Tyler Winklevoss from Gemini discussing GUSD. So yeah, the agenda will be posted in the forum for both calls. As always, if you'd like to present, there's a forum thread that I'm going to copy on the chat, but you can also find it in the forum. So yeah, without further ado, moving to our first project. So Rafael from TrustTokens, are you guys ready?
We're ready, yeah. Thank you for having us on, Juan, and good to meet everyone. So I'm Rafael, I'm the CEO of TrustToken, and we're the makers of TrueUSD, as well as 4 other stablecoins, True Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar, Hong Kong dollar, and British pound. And we currently have 4 products, all of our products except for Hong Kong dollar, 4 products that are in the process of being onboarded as Maker Collateral. And 3 of them were just greenlit through recent votes. I imagine that some folks here have already seen the relevant threads and votes on those. Some folks may not be as familiar, but I wanted to give a quick overview of what the true currencies are and the value that they can provide to the Maker community. So let me just project my screen and hopefully folks will be able to see. All right, let's see. Are folks able to see my screen okay? Can I get a thumbs up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so those are the 5 products we have that we've created so far, and the first 4 of those are the ones that we are right now working on onboarding with Maker. We see these providing value to Maker in 3 main areas. The first one is that these are diverse collateral types, but are all highly trustworthy. And we're gonna go a little bit more later into the kind of real-time auditing that we do that no other stablecoin actually does. But Maker today has some other stablecoins such as USDC, but does not have any foreign currencies. And that's a major new market that Maker can tap into, where those are uncorrelated assets, but they're still fairly stable and trustworthy. And they also can bring the Maker system to new users that may want to be able to lock up true Australian dollars or true Canadian dollars or other products and be able to mint DAI and then use DAI within DeFi. And then when they're done, they can return their DAI to the CDP and take out their corresponding fiat currency. So that's really something that is not possible with a Maker system today. And this is, I think, a powerful opportunity for Maker to get several trustworthy collateral types that are really new in terms of what Maker can have in the system. Second is around ease of on-ramping and off-ramping. So right now, USDC may actually be one of the easiest ways to get to be, for a new user who wants to be able to mint DAI, to be able to take fiat currency and bring it into a CDP and then mint DAI. And I do think that true currencies offer a lot of value there, both in terms of the ease of our onboarding and offboarding process, but also the fact that we can accept multiple foreign currencies. That can make it easy for additional users internationally to be able to get started with creating a CDP. And the barriers to entry may be much lower for someone if it's an Australian user saying, I'm just going to put $100 into true AUD, which is backed one form with Australian dollars, and then be able to mint some DAI, borrow DAI against it, and be able to use my DAI in DeFi or whatever I'm looking to do. Finally, these products, especially TrueUSD already has very significant use in DeFi with something like 140 million TrueUSD that's been deposited into Aave. And we think that, that's right now one of the places where TrueUSD has the best support in Aave, but we do think that if TrueUSD is supported in Maker, that the usage there could be pretty significant as well. So I wanted to show, and by the way, feel free, anyone, to interrupt if you have questions. I'm happy to dive into any of these points more. So just raise your hands or just call out if you do have something you wanted to dive into a bit more. I wanted to go a little bit into each of these points. So in terms of the trustworthiness of these products, we have with True Currencies started to do some things that no other stablecoins have really done. So this is a system that we've built out in collaboration with Armanino, which is one of the top US accounting firms. And this is something that is really first of its kind. It is a 24/7 real-time audit of the TrueUSD system. So you can see here, it says there's 383 million TrueUSD, and this is based on nodes that they are running. The auditors themselves are running these nodes. They're not using Impura, they're not using Etherscan. These are their own nodes that they're running. And you can see that's backed by 383 million escrowed US dollars. And that's them connecting directly to our banking partners' APIs. And we are not a man in the middle there. So it doesn't go through our systems at all. And so they are directly inspecting these dollars and attesting to the existence of them. And if you see here, you can just click, any users of Maker, any users of TrueUSD whatsoever can anytime just download a current audit of the TrueUSD collateral. And this is not just for TrueUSD, this is for all of our different true currencies. And you can immediately get a report like this. This is an independent accountant's report. And you can see that this is dated as of September 9th, 1:12 p.m. EST, which is right now. So this is an exact current 24/7 audit report that anyone in the world can generate 24/7 to see that TrueUSD is fully backed according to the accountant. So this is a pretty big step forward that we've made, and it's not something that any other stablecoin has done. And we actually are working right now with Armanino and collaborating with some of the Chainlink oracles to take this to the next level, where this information not only can be reported here 24/7, them attesting to the funds, but also reported on the blockchain via a network of oracles, such that systems such as Maker or other DeFi systems can actually have even their smart contracts know that the TrueUSD is fully backed and can, if they want, put into place any sort of circuit breakers or things like that if at any point TrueUSD is under collateralized. So TrueUSD really was the first fully collateralized stable coin that came out back when there was only Tether and that was the only option on the market. And we have done everything we can to make TrueUSD as trustworthy as possible. And we don't necessarily have the big brand names that USDC has, working with Coinbase and Circle and so on. But I think that we have gone above and beyond to work on the trust, which is one of the most important things to us.
Hey, Raf, there are two questions in the chat. One from Akash, who says he has a bunch of questions. And then PlanetX says, is this real-time value also available for other currencies?
It is, yes. So other currencies, you can see, you can click through them right here. About 700,000 true Canadian dollars. True HKD is, I think, having an issue right now. But the other four are all in the normal state. So and if there's ever an issue with any of these audits, we work with the auditors to debug it immediately if any of the APIs go down or anything like that. Because there are multiple banking partners, and so it does require a decent amount of work to make sure that the system is always robust. Let me just take a look at the chat and see what the other questions are. Alex, maybe if you could read it.
So the other one is Akash saying that he has a bunch of questions, but I guess you can finish maybe 3 more minutes, 2 more minutes, and then.
Yeah, I mean, I can start with my questions. I'm basically concerned about when an auction happens. So I want you to think as a market maker. So I want to, like, let's go with the TUSD. So for whatever reason, TUSD is probably going to be set at $1 in any case. So there might not be auctions, but like, what about if it's, I don't know, the Hong Kong dollar, or you said the Australian, dollar or whatever.
Yeah.
If a market maker buys that, what exactly is the process to circle back and get it back to DAI, right? Because if an auction happens, they're depositing DAI in the system to win the auction, and then the market maker has to quickly turn around and liquidate that somewhere to get DAI back, because otherwise you're sucking away liquidity from the market maker who's providing liquidity to the auctions. So I want you to go through a full circle of market maker wins an auction of one of your true products, and then how do they get it back to DAI, and how long is that going to take?
Yeah. So first of all, we're planning on. Yeah, that's a very good question. So first of all, we're planning on offering running our own auction bots as well, to bid on liquidations if any of the true currencies products are getting liquidated. Because we've got a certain amount of capital ourselves just on our own balance sheet, and we're happy to use that to buy into these assets. But the way that it would look for a market maker is you'd put up DAI, you'd bid on some true Aussie dollar, just as an example here. You take that Australian dollar, you would redeem it for actual Australian dollars, and then you would sell those for US dollars, and then use those US dollars to go back into DAI. That's what the first full circle would look like. And the same corresponding thing for any of these currencies.
Like, so that you're expecting the market maker to have FX broker accounts and have banking systems with all these different currencies, right? And I guess what I'm trying to understand is, what is the settlement process and all that to eventually turn it back into like USDC, where they could mint more DAI, for example? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So we do already work with a bunch of market makers, and they do have accounts with us, folks like Alameda, QCP, and so on. And we do have folks that already are purchasing and redeeming large chunks of these foreign currency products, like Australian dollar. The turnaround certainly won't be quite as fast as with True USD, because that one you can redeem directly from US dollars and then put that on an exchange or put that into another stable coin and so on. But you still can pretty quickly get these things back into fiat and get them back into US dollars. And we also can make that easier for folks. We're working right now on increasing the liquidity of each of these products on Uniswap, and having a large amount of liquidity from each product to True USD, such that market makers or liquidity providers don't necessarily have to do that Forex transaction themselves. They can just do it directly with Uniswap much more quickly, and then do whatever they want with the US dollars. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers my question. I mean, I would encourage that, just because, so obviously there's platforms like Curve or Balancer that might be less price impact. So yeah, I would encourage more liquidity on that way, because that way the market maker can quickly turn it into DAI and provide more liquidity.
Yes, absolutely. So that's something that we're very much working on, and we're expecting pretty shortly, like either probably early next week or maybe later next week, having a lot more liquidity on these markets on Uniswap, and potentially some on Balancer as well. So I guess I wanted to show one more thing, just in terms of the ease of purchasing and redeeming these products, which is important both for maker users and also for liquidity providers that might be bidding in some of the auctions if these assets are liquidated. So let me just show a little bit of what that looks like. I'm going to share my other browser. Okay. Sorry, are folks able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, cool. So you can see the TrustToken dashboard here.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what the process looks like for purchasing and redeeming these products. So you just create an account in our application. You can go to trusttoken.com. And I think that many folks, because for a lot of years there was only Tether and it wasn't very easy to purchase and redeem. So I think a lot of folks have not realized yet just how easy it is to mint and redeem products like TrueUSD. But you just create an account. You go here, you say I want to mint some TrueUSD. You put in your wallet address, that's mine, and then we give you the wiring instructions to send in US dollars. And the moment that those US dollars get into the escrow account, then our systems will mint TrueUSD for you directly. And similarly with redeeming TrueUSD, you put in your bank account information, and then we'll give you a unique Ethereum address to just send TrueUSD to. And as soon as the TrueUSD gets to that address, our banking partners will send an outgoing wire to you. And it's a very similar process for TrueGBP, TrueAUD, TrueCAD, and so on. You just add your wallet, and then you get to send in a wire, and you'll get that currency directly in your wallet. So that's it. That's the process for purchasing and redeeming.
By any chance, is your banking account on Signature or Silvergate so that you can do fast transfers?
Yes, so we actually work with multiple banks in order to make it easy for different users. So we bank with Silvergate, we bank with Prime Trust in Nevada, and we also have an account with Legacy Trust in Hong Kong, which many of our Asian customers use because it's closer in terms of banking hours and it's faster for them than wiring to the US. So we have all three of those options. And a lot of our institutional customers do use SEN, and they'll be like, it could be a weekend or it could be 1 in the morning, and they'll be using the Silvergate network to do those instant mints. Any other questions? Things people are curious about?
Rafael, do you guys have banks in, well, I would guess Europe, Australia, and Canada? So the wire transfers are local, or is it like a weird combination where we have to send funds across the world?
So unfortunately, we don't have banks there yet. We right now just have banks in the US and then one bank in Asia. At some point, we'd like to have a bank in Europe as well. And so the way that these products work is these ones, for example, are being offered through our bank in Hong Kong that has multi-currency accounts, and it isn't quite as convenient as if we actually had a bank in Canada or a bank in Europe, and so that's something that we would like to do at some point. It's just difficult to manage a lot of these banking, too many banking relationships and API integrations and so on. But
so sorry, does Silvergate offer like Aussie dollar and Canadian dollar like for these fast transfers, or not really?
Silvergate, I think, only does US dollars currently. Alex, can you confirm that? And by the way, this is Alex on the call. He's our COO, and he manages a lot of parts of the company, including the banking side.
Yeah, it's correct.
So what are the best options for the other currencies in terms of creation redemptions or mint burns?
So, say you ask if how fast they are, or you're just asking where?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what are the fastest options to do mints and burns in the other currencies. Obviously, I think you have a good solution for USD, but for the other currencies, what's the best?
Yeah, the other currencies are definitely not instant mint like we have with TrueUSD. This is something that we are slowly adding by adding just more banking partners and more through the trust companies, more banks. But it needs to have a certain volume before it really makes sense for a bank to kind of set this all up. And this is where it's kind of like chicken and egg problem at the moment, where we kind of like slowly adding something, but I couldn't tell you that you can mint and redeem any of the currencies, the other currencies at the moment within 2 minutes, where you can do that with TrueUSD. So the other ones are basically taking a day, depending where you are in the world and which banking partner is actually chosen as well.
right now it's difficult for us to convince Silvergate or Prime Trust or some of the other banks to add instant support for foreign currencies if they're wondering, well, is there really going to be enough volume? So I think if we can show them more purchases and more redemptions happening of these currencies, then I think that we'll be more able to convince them of that.
Will Remor is asking in the chat, what are the next currencies to be onboarded?
Well, so there are a couple of other European currencies that we may do at some point. Euro is obviously a big one. It's a little bit more difficult because it's got a negative interest rate, and there are also some regulatory things we have to figure out for launching Euro. And then there are some smaller European currencies such as Swiss franc. A lot of the Asian currencies we can't do because of regulatory reasons. Many of them have restrictions around the usage of their currencies. And like we won't be able to do like a tokenized renminbi or anything like that. We could potentially do something like Singapore dollar. But I think right now we're still focused on just increasing the usage and the support within DeFi of some of the currencies that we already have, and then probably adding some more ones such as Euro. And then Alex, do you want to touch briefly on True Gold?
True, yeah, I mean, I can, yes, but I think it might be better to talk about the question that Matthew just put in the chat here. Half a second there, True Gold has been created for, most likely for legacy, not most likely, Legacy Trust has asked us to create a True Gold version. We didn't necessarily want to create True Gold because it's a more difficult market. However, some of the larger pension funds actually are looking for a True Gold version where it's actually gold held in the trust somewhere, and they can buy parts of actual physical gold and not gold contracts. So we're testing this out at the moment internally. This is when, if that test all works out and the market actually is proven out, then it will be more externalized and it's more for other people. You know, other people can actually invest into gold as well. However, the question that Matthew had here about negative interest rates. So at the moment, we are not exposed to negative interest rates. The funds are held in accounts that are paying 0% interest rates for the foreign currencies. However, we've been working with the different investment managers of the trust companies, trying to find solutions for us in order to make sure that we always can maintain at least 0%, but we actually are able to find we are able to find some opportunities where it will be 1%, 2%, in the range of 1% or 2% by combining multiple different financial, what's the word I'm looking for? Instruments, thank you very much. A lot of financial instruments in the background to make sure that we are always on par, that the money is sitting in, for example, GBP in the bank account, but we're not actually, we're not exposed to any negative interest rates. Sorry, that was a very long answer, but I hope I answered Matthew's question.
Yeah, so even if the US dollar interest rates dropped a bit more, we'd still be doing okay. Because we are at the scale that we have, we're able to get somewhat better rates than most consumers can individually. Primo says, if we had true Euro, you could put it into Maker and potentially have a high interest Euro, which would be a big deal. I totally agree. That would be very interesting.
The biggest problem we have with True Euro is that we can actually issue it in Europe, but then we can only issue it to people within Europe. We cannot issue to anybody in the US. Or we can issue a True Euro that is only for people in the US, but we cannot actually issue it to anybody on the European side. And this is just the way the regulatory setup at the moment works, and we're trying to find the middle ground somewhere. Trying to figure out how we can actually launch something that makes sense for everybody in the world and not just like a subsection of it. It's a little bit more complicated. I think we have found a solution for it, but I don't want to promise anything yet. And we do know that there's so many requests for True Euro out there that we definitely want to launch it in one form or another. We want to make sure that we're covering, you know, basically everybody.
Okay, I want to make sure that we've got enough time for the Mooniswap team to give their presentation. But thank you everyone for your time and attention. Thank you, Akash and other folks for the good questions. And we're available, we're on the Maker Forum. And also feel free to reach out to us directly if you have any questions. I'll put my email address in the chat as well. If anyone has more questions, I want to follow up on after the call. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rafael.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Raul. So, by the way, I am Jessica Solomon. I actually used to work for MakerDAO myself. I just started my career in blockchain there in December of 2017. So it's really exciting to present now from the outside. It sort of shows how cool the virtual circle of DeFi really is. So I'm going to go ahead and just share some slides as to what Mooniswap is, and then the liquidity pool tokens that we're presenting on. So 1inch, market-leading DEX aggregator, market efficient, automated market maker, which is Mooniswap, and of course, for innovators of DeFi. And so the 1inch team, we're fast moving and mission driven to benefit decentralized finance. So if updates are coming out super fast, so, you know, pay attention to our Twitter and see what's going on. So Mooniswap, just in case you guys don't know what it is, because we did launch it in just a few weeks ago, actually in August, is a new automatic market maker to increase liquidity provider earnings. So we're excited to be a part of this sort of automated market maker revolution. So Mooniswap uses virtual balances to enable liquidity providers to capture profit otherwise captured by arbitrageurs. So this slows down price changes to prevent arbitrageurs, traders from earning up to 100% on the swap slippages. So here's just an example visually of liquidity provider earnings on Mooniswap. So as you can see, Mooniswap keeps most of the slippage revenue in the pool by maintaining these virtual balances for different swap directions. The automatic market maker improves exchange rates for arbitrage traders over a 5-minute time period. Hence, more profits stay in the liquidity pools, which is pretty cool. Here's just an example of some forecasts of potential Uniswap V2 liquidity provider income with potential Mooniswap liquidity provider income on different pools. So, for example, for maybe in the future. So this is a demonstration of arbitrageurs and virtual balances. Here's the kind of flippy swap key if you want to take a look at this graph, whereas A would represent initial balances, X balances after a swap with the slippage, the virtual balances for the opposite.
Maybe it can shortly explain to make it more understandable. It looks, I know it looks very terrible, but it works quite easy in the form that after each huge trade with a slippage, we have from the opposite direction and a swap from arbitrage traders in traditional AMMs like Uniswap. And our implementation with this virtual balance, based on the idea of Vitalik Buterin from 2017, allows us to change the price in the opposite direction slowly over 5 minutes. So we offer the arbitrage traders a bad rate at the beginning, and after each block, we offer it a little bit better. So the arbitrage traders compete under each other to just make a little bit profit, but at the end they let a lot of profits in the liquidity pool. And in this picture you can see how this works. These different trades. We have a blog post also about that, so if someone needs more details, I can explain more in this call, and also can provide more information resources. Jessica, go ahead.
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, and by the way, that's our Lord and Savior and CEO, so he's the kind of man of the hour here. So yeah, and also I did go ahead and share this in the chat if you guys want to take a look on your own time at any point. But moving on from this, just some stuff about 1-inch mission. We don't really need to necessarily show all this, but Kai gas, token savings, redistributing profits, etc. We're happy to see you guys benefit from all that cool shit, of course. So yeah, and now on to our actual application. So the first application for collateral that we put in was the Mooniswap liquidity pool token of ETH USDC collateral. That's the link to the application that I wrote if you want to check that proposal out. Next, Mooniswap liquidity pool token of ETH USDT collateral. And lastly, the Mooniswap liquidity pool token of ETH to WBTC collateral. Of course, this application is a little bit different as WBTC isn't a stablecoin in the same sense. So reasons for adoption and just sort of the value proposition of why it is that this could benefit the MCD and Maker collateral. So firstly, in the event of a market dump, the value behind the ETH USDC pool, for example, would not drop as much as the price of ETH. So this is because in the pool sale of USDC for ETH, the loss is not as great as it would be with only ETH. And of course, the same principle would apply for ETH and USDT. Secondly, pools in which fees outperform impermanent loss in the long run will be worthwhile and add additional protection to the collateral backing DAI or additional protection to DAI. As liquidity pools earn value by collecting trading fees, so the collateral actually grows. So actually, I could go ahead and show you an example of that collateral growth. Let me just stop sharing the screen really quick.
So Jessica is going to show you one of our pools. This is Ethereum Chi pool. You have maybe heard about the Chi token. It's our gas token to leverage their gas costs. And with a small liquidity and a not huge volume, we achieved really huge APR in the pool because of our special implementation with these virtual balances, which allows to let the liquidity providers earn more than the traditional, for example, 0.3% of pool fee in Uniswap. So you see, we have 0.15% of fee in this pool. We had $210 in liquidity pool fees, and we did additional $2,895 just based of this special implementation, and the liquidity providers earned on the price leverage instead of the arbitrage traders, which would be normal on, for example, Uniswap or Balancer pools. So the idea of this pool tokens used as a collateral is actually not new. It's used already in Aave. They support right now Uniswap pool tokens. So we have more optimized solution here for the people who would use this collateral, this liquidity pool tokens collateral. They earn on each trade. Yeah, they earn on high price slippages and how Jessica already explained on big pumps or dumps, the pool balance the value of the pools and sell, for example, ETH to USDC in a ETH USDC pool, and the other way around this, it works as well in the same manner. So if you have any questions, we are open.
And I went ahead and also posted that link to what I was just showing in the chat. If you guys want to check that out on your own timer right now. So Akash, how's it going? I see there's a question from you. What is the asset values of these Mooniswap liquidity tokens? What are the maxability fees? And would it still make sense to mint DAI? And also, do you also have a DAI pool? We do have a DAI pool, but I'll let Sergey actually expand.
So what the max stability fee would be, I can't really answer right now. So we are open for suggestions. So actually, you support already ETH and you support already USDC. This is kind of combination of that. So at least you will have similar stability fees, or maybe better because you have lower risks. Yeah, if you comparing to just having only ETH as a collateral. So this is my question to that. About the DAI pool, I'm not sure. Yeah. If you mean liquidity pool with like ETH DAI, for example, yes, we have such a pool. Yeah, and I'm not sure if it makes sense to use it as a collateral because if you print DAI, you have a leverage position, yeah, at the end. So, and I'm not sure if you want to have like DAI with ETH as a collateral and have a leverage position DAI. Maybe it makes sense. We have to analyze that. We can maybe do a research in this direction as well. So.
No, I mean, I guess I just had a couple of general questions. Like, what do you think the AUM right now for these liquidity pool tokens that you're trying to ask for?
Once again, sorry.
Sorry, like the assets, what's the total size of the assets for these pools? And I guess another question kind of related to that is like, obviously these people would be taking these liquidity pools, minting DAI and selling back into creating more, they would be like levering up, right? So what's the expectation of leverage that you guys would end up having?
So you mean if someone would use our pools and provide liquidity and use these liquidity pool tokens as collateral to print DAI and leverage DAI with that? How many like access we can have here? I'm pretty sure not more than 4 here at MakerDAO. Did I get the question right? I'm not sure. Sorry.
It's only the question is around how much would people lever up if they're trying to just like get more LP tokens, deposit their LP tokens into the maker system, mint DAI, use that to buy more LP tokens, or buy the underlying things, then create more LP tokens to get more exposure to the fees.
Just you should help me. I don't get the question.
Oh, sorry. Could you repeat the question, Akash?
Yeah. So, like the basic idea of why these liquidity pool tokens, like why you guys want it as a collateral, is so you can mint DAI, and then go and buy more ETH and buy more USDC, put it in Mooniswap, and then get more liquidity tokens, do this whole cycle of leverage, right? So I guess the question 100%. Is, what is the expectation of leverage that you're going to introduce in the system? I'm just trying to get a handle on that and like,
so,
is that additional risk?
I understand what you're asking. So, Sergey, what he's asking is essentially how much are people going to be able to mint DAI against these liquidity pools? Like, how many liquidity pool tokens are out there? What's the sort of volume right now, or what do we expect the volume to be? Because that'll affect how much they can mint.
So, what the expected volume would be for this? So what I can say, what we have right now, we have like $75 million already in the Mooniswap protocol. We are the fastest growing AMM protocol right now, based on some publications of some research guys from in the last days. They published it on Twitter. So we actually started right now, and we plan to grow more and have more volume. So we had actually like more than 100 millions, but these things, what happened with SushiSwap and Uniswap right now, it changed a little bit the game, and we are working on also an upgrade for Mooniswap in a governance direction, to make it more profitable for everyone in the community. So based on the volume we have in the last in the last 24 hours, we did like $3.5 million dollars volume along on the Mooniswap, but we reached also like 80 millions in a day of volume. And if you go from current numbers, like 75 millions of dollars in total liquidity provided to the Mooniswap, at least multiple millions of dollars would be used, I'm pretty sure. So we were also talking with several traders. We have a good Russian traders community, and they were really amused about this idea to use our collaterals to have safer collateral for leverage positions. Any other questions?
Yeah, and of course, TrueUSD, a liquidity pool involving TrueUSD would also be an awesome option. So let's work on getting more liquidity in there, you guys.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We support all tokens. Yeah, and we wish also to work with TrueUSD guys. So I wrote already in the private message. So we're also open to spin up more pools for that, and also incentivize it with our 1-inch token, which is coming this year.
And sorry, does Mooniswap have a token itself? Like, are you guys applying for that too?
So this is actually inside information, but yes, we changed our strategy a little bit, and we are going to release soon Mooniswap governance token. We call it instant governance. More is coming soon. This information, but yeah, this token would be possible to earn. So we will just distribute 100% of the total supply to the community who would provide liquidity into the Mooniswap to get this liquidity pool tokens, which can be also used for if you agree as a community here, and it can be used in MakerDAO as a collateral.
Cool.
Nick, I see that you had some relevant comments in the chat too. I can read those off, or if everyone, or Sergey, if you want to just take a look at that as well, we can respond.
Sure, pick one.
It wasn't much of a question. I think someone in the chat had asked how to, I think it was Chris Mooney actually, how do you value an LP token? And we just kind of went into a tangent of kind of the different things to consider.
Sure.
Like my main concern, I guess, is right. So you guys just wanted onboarded, right? I'm thinking more in terms of kind of stability fees. You know, where do we price these things, right? So it's not just Mooniswap, right? You know, there's the other liquidity token pools as well, and we haven't quite nailed down a strategy yet for what is the best way to price something like that, and what is the best way, you know, to look at the stability fees and collateralization requirements, right? So it's kind of this. Once that gets locked down, right, then everything can move forward. But until that gets nailed down, it's kind of difficult to onboard anything.
From my side, I can say don't invent the wheel from you. Yeah, we implemented it already, and they have
much use though, and they have it in split kind of liquidity pools, right? So. Right, there's a separate DAI pool that the LP token providers can borrow from. They can't borrow from the main pool. So it's kind of in production, but only half, and it just doesn't give a good idea of what user behavior is actually going to be. So
yeah, I mean, how to calculate the value of the liquidity pool token? It's actually quite easy. Just you have all the prices already in your Oracle systems. You just get the values of both tokens. You balance the pool, and based on this information, you have the value of the liquidity pool token.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's more, I'm thinking of like the average kind of risk profile of a user who would put LP tokens into a vault. So
about the risk also, sorry to interrupt you, we did 3 audits already, security audits. So from this point of view, from our side, we are safe. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So for example, right, if you look at ETH vault users, right, there's a distribution kind of on who is riding the edge at 150% collateralization, right, and who is being super safe at like 700%. LP tokens, right, is going to have their own kind of unique distribution curve. And what I suspect, but I have no proof of right now, is that if the yields of being an LP provider are good enough, right, because of all of the extra incentives through governance tokens, right, through either this Mooniswap governance token, right, BAL, right, Uniswap's probably going to release their own token as well, right. You have the sushi thing, you have the swerve stuff, you have curve, yeah. Right. So these are all jacking up LP yields, which the incentive for, to use LP tokens as collateral, right, is to then leverage on those yields. So you're already targeting, right, degen users who play it really risky. And then we may need to overcompensate on the collateralization requirements or on the stability fees, right, to just enforce a safer kind of distribution curve, because otherwise I kind of foresee people taking as much leverage as you let them get, which is not something we see with ETH.
Yeah, but Nick, to that point, like, I guess I'm a little confused as to, theoretically at least, what the real danger is. I mean, like, what I imagine happening is like Wiren or whoever, the wifey guys or whatever, creating an automated system where they're taking these liquidity provider tokens, minting DAI, putting it in like their version of Y curve and getting a high interest rate. And all of that is like industrial scale managed, right? And it's kind of gas efficient also, but maybe I'm wrong. Do you see additional risks?
Not as low risk as you think. The consequences of their strategies haven't really shown themselves yet in terms of losses for users, but their strategies, rely on liquidity being there to unwind. And if that liquidity that they locked up is taken by someone else, then they can't unwind their position. And they're stuck then in their, at the mercy of the market. And I mean, I think what they're doing is great. I think it's super cool, and the returns are great, and I've even used it. But to say that it's low risk is it's quite high risk.
Yeah, then start at a high stability fee and work your way down, right?
Yep. I mean,
any other questions?
In no way am I arguing that we shouldn't be adding LP tokens. I think actually would be a great way to boost DAI supply. But I would just advocate for a cautious approach, right? Limited debt ceilings, higher collateralization ratios, higher stability fees until we, and then kind of tune it from there.
Sounds great from our side.
Any other questions or comments?
Actually, at one, do we expect that type of usage for this, the type of user would end up doing what we saw back in, I guess, maybe 2019 in single collateral DAI, like they would just use it to lever up on the liquidity pool tokens, therefore selling the DAI on the market and hopefully bringing the peg back into balance? Do we expect that to be more the case for this than other collaterals that we currently have?
Sure, but the thing is, you're only looking at, when you say, oh, it would help restore the peg, it only restores the peg when at the kind of entry point, right? At the point where people see a bunch of yield, provide liquidity and leverage up on that liquidity, right, using Maker. When that yield decreases, right, or when there's a more tasty yield somewhere else, right, they'll unwind their position. And if anything, I think it will just increase the volatility of the DAI peg. I don't think it'll actually help it one way or another, because as we've seen, with all of this yield farming kind of liquidity stuff, where you see TVLs balloon up in, 8 hours from 0 to, 250 million back down to 0, right, as soon as the next yield farm gets going. It's just a volatility shock, in my opinion.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know if that would be better. That might actually be better than just consistently above. Because then arbitrageurs have a sort of guarantee that they're going to slide back down to 1 periodically or below.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to be realistic. Like, the new DAI that's minted is probably going to end up in some Y curve pools, so it would theoretically decrease the price back to 1. It would help stabilize DAI for that moment. Now, obviously, when they're rebalancing and stuff like that, they're pulling DAI to do that.
I do think it's a good point that Christopher made, that noise both above and below $1 is still probably better than being consistently at $1, because arbitrageurs can really go after that noise, whereas they can't really go after a stable like 103 or 102.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
So something that is in net, like, it adds noise but also brings the price down, may still be in net beneficial.
That's an interesting point. I hadn't considered that.
Yeah, I agree. And also, Raphael, I noticed that you commented that in general, liquidity pool tokens seem similar to a 50-50 combination of the two underlying assets. So that is quite true. However, of course, you want to take into account the kind of additional rewards or the kind of fees that the liquidity providers earn in the form of liquidity pool tokens. So that's a bit of a small difference.
Yeah, I agree. I think that for some assets, like if that liquidity pool contains Ether, then the volatility of the Ether is probably going to be a larger factor than the interest that's generated from the fees. But I guess there's a lot of trading volume, that might not be the case. But then for other assets, like if it's two stable coins against each other, then it's probably going to be low volatility, and the fees may actually be dominant in terms of what is affecting the price of that LP token.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, so we're almost at top of the hour. So, well, again, thanks to Rafael, Alex, Sergey, and Leah, and Jess for presenting, and everyone else for participating. Let's keep the conversation going in the forum. If you have any feedback or any ideas on how to improve these calls, please let me know. And if you would like to present the project, please let us know in the forum thread. Thank you, everyone, and see you next week.
Thanks for having us, Juan. Thank you, Sergey and Jessica, as well, for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, thanks for having you guys.